Hey, welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking about Cristiano Ronaldo and whether he has done a hair transplant or not. Many people are discussing whether yes or no on Reddit, and I don't blame them. There is a difference in the way his hairline is looking right now versus how it used to look before. It used to look more narrow on the corners and had that more pronounced widow's peak. And right now it seems to look more straight and more widened on the corners. So in this video I'm going to be sharing with you my thoughts whether Cristiano had or did not have a hair transplantation. And as always, before we start, shout out to our sponsor GoFiber. These are hair building fibers you can use to mask any thinning or patchy areas on your scalp to make your hair look thicker and better. So make sure you check out the link in the video description below where you can visit GoFiber, get a free sample of your choice and try them out. See if you like them. So right now let's have a look what happened in between these two photos from like 2004 to 2019, so we can see whether there are some suspicious changes or inconsistencies with the way Cristiano's hairline looked. So this is his hairline in 2004. Looks definitely natural, like a juvenile hairline of a 19-year-old normally looks like. He has definitely like lower forehead naturally, and the hairline is squaring off his forehead very well for even 19-year-old. I mean, there are 19-year-olds like myself with way bigger foreheads, with way more hair loss for being 19. So that's definitely genetic. And again, if we have a look at his father, we will notice that Cristiano inherited definitely a lot of hairline features after his father, and also the size and height of the forehead. So that's 2004. In 2008, 4 years later, we still see about the same hairline shape with that distinct widow's peak and also temples that are squaring off his forehead very tightly. In 2010, during his mid-20s, we are seeing the same hairline pretty much, no changes, no inconsistencies. 2011, pretty much the same thing as 2010. In 2012, definitely no changes, guys, and also no changes in 2013, at least I was not able to spot. In 2014, this is an interesting picture where we can notice that his left portion of the hairline is looking a little bit lower and denser, and the right one is looking more bald. And some guys may think like, hey, that's the start of his hair loss and some recession on the corners. But if you look closely, it's because he's kind of styling his hair from one side to another, and it kind of uncovers that side a little bit more. So maybe that's the reason why it looks like that. But also he's kind of shaving off some of that hair on that right corner that seems to be a little bit more uncovered. So that all adds up onto that more like receded look, but not really in my opinion. In 2015, we also notice how his hair is actually looks like it's looking tighter on the corners, and it's framing his corners a little bit more, and it's simply because he actually let that hair grow a little bit longer for this type of haircut instead of here, right? It's not being shaved off as much on the corners, and that's what the barber usually does by some people who have very low hairlines, or it's looking super dense and thick even on that corner here, so they like to shave it off maybe half a centimeter or so. So no changes, everybody. This is 2016, where we can also see him rocking about the same haircut, short on sides, longer on top, and slicked backwards. No changes. 2017, the same pretty much, but we already notice how that widow's peak is not being as pronounced anymore, and his temporal hairlines are definitely looking a little bit more recessed here over the years, and it's not looking as tight anymore. So that's pretty much something that I'm noticing here. But in terms of his hairline, I don't think it's looking like a transplant yet. In 2018, about the same, we see his natural, here we can also see his naturally curly hair kind of unraveling. In 2019, and this is by the way where this picture is coming from, it's like 2019, we see him with pretty much the same hairline as before. However, you can notice how that widow's peak is kind of not having that much definition anymore, and it's looking more like a straight hairline instead of having that widow's peak in that V-shaped a manner as he used to have when he was a teenager, or as his father used to have. So that's something that is kind of looking different here. But as far as his corners, it's looking the same. They're still pretty defined. He doesn't have any signs of hair loss, recession in those. Now 2020 is an interesting year because he kind of buzzed his hair very short. There are no signs of hair loss whatsoever. His hairline is very defined, even with that buzz cut, where you definitely notice how that widow's peak is not that pronounced anymore, and it's looking more like a straight hairline. It's still squaring off his forehead a lot, and his hairline has very good density and thickness in the very first row, so that also shows no signs of receding hairline or anything similar to that. 2021, the same thing. Nothing extraordinary, no huge changes in his hairline besides these small things that I just mentioned. And this is already 2022. These are the recent pictures, and we definitely notice that the temples are a little bit receded. And the only thing I can see here is that the temples are really a little bit more recessed, so the width of his forehead is a little bit larger compared to when he was like 19 in 2004. Also, the forehead is positioned a little bit higher right now, as you can see here. Definitely got bigger, but again, still, it does not look like a hair transplant, and in my opinion, there is no point of getting a hair transplant with this head of hair. What he has here on his recent pictures, it still looks very full and defined, and for a 37-year-old, it's a perfect hairline to have. Everybody should be happy with this head of hair, in my opinion, if you are 37. On this photo, it can actually look like his hairline is receding slightly in a quite an asymmetric manner, because you can see on the left is looking a little bit lower positioned, and on the right you can see that his hairline is kind of sloping up, but maybe this is just a bad angle, I don't know. He's also 37, so you cannot expect to have such a juvenile hairline anymore. We could actually claim that his father's hairline looked better by the end of his 40s compared to what Cristiano has right now, being 37. So that's actually an interesting one. If Cristiano's hairline will keep on receding more and more in the future, I think that's a proof that his mother is actually a carrier of the hair loss gene that is responsible for the male pattern baldness progression. But did he have a hair transplant, guys? No, in my opinion not. Based on what we have noticed, there were some minor changes because the temporal hairline on the left and right kind of started regressing by his 30s and older, and also his existing hairline started losing that widow's peak and it started looking more like that straight line. But I don't see any point where his hairline actually came back looking better and kind of tighter on the corners and temporal hairlines. These are the only areas where one would suppose that he maybe had a hair transplant done, but not really, guys. So that's pretty much my take on Cristiano's situation. For all of you guys who don't know my channel, this is a hair loss and hair transplant related channel where I can help you guys save your hair loss quickly from receding further, as well as maximize your hair transplant success. In such case, I highly suggest you to check out my consulting services. These are one-on-one calls that I offer for all of you guys who want to learn more about how they can stop their hair loss, get the best hair transplant result, and need help, guidance, and assistance with finding the right hair transplant doctor. There is a link to this in the description below if you want to learn more about these services. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna be here soon again with another video. Take care.